This is cs952 Introduction to Web Technologies and Design, and in this module we're really going to dig into the Bootstrap responsive content. So we're going to take advantage of the Bootstrap framework, some of the existing classes that help us build responsive websites. So I'm going to get started with opening up my home page, and as you recall, the name of your home page, the file that we use for our home page is index.html. And I want to make sure that I'm in live view, so I'm going to click up here and choose live view. And it looks like we're in split view right now. Just want only live view. If we scroll up and down, you can kind of remember where we were before. We've got our image at the top, and then we have our Jumbotron. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some content after the Jumbotron, and we're going to add an image carousel. This is a very popular feature, and in the DOM panel, I'm going to have a look at my DOM panel. I'm going to click on this div that has my Jumbotron, and now I'm going to insert a carousel. So this is a Bootstrap component. I go to my Insert panel. I want to make sure that I have Bootstrap components selected. And I'm going to click on Carousel. You can see it's the second item in the second group. And when I do, I get this usual dialog box asking me, this carousel, do I want to insert it before, after, or do I want to nest it inside of the currently selected element, which in this case is the Jumbotron. So I'm going to put it after my Jumbotron. So I'm going to click on After. Okay, there we've got it. We've added a carousel to our website. So let's hit F12 just to preview this in Chrome and see what this looks like. Do we want to save changes? Yes. And then you're going to get this question about saving this placeholder image. That'd be fine. It's going to save it in our Images folder. So when I scroll down, you can see this is what our carousel looks like. This is the tool that cycles between different pictures. Right now, we only have this placeholder content. Let's get busy adding in our own content. So we'll switch back to Dreamweaver. And I have some images already prepared for use. Now, you may want to use your own images. If you're going to be using your own images, you need 3 images. By default, the carousel supports 3 images. You can add more images to your carousel. You could have less images, but it defaults with 3 images. And I have 3 images ready to go. So if I look in my files and I open up my tutorial folder, there's a folder there called Carousel, and in your tutorial folder you will also have this folder called Carousel. Again, you can certainly use your own images, and if you do choose to use your own images, they need to be the same size and they need to be in the same ratio. So in this case, I'm using 3 images in the 16:9 ratio, and they're all 1920 pixels, because as it cycles between one image and the next, if the images are not the same size, then the size of the container that holds the images is going to be changing, and it's going to look strange. So you want to make sure that all 3 images are the same size. So what I'm going to do is I want to keep all of the images I'm using in the same place. I want to keep them all in the Images folder. So I'm going to click on my folder that says Carousel and drag it into my Images folder. That's all I need to do. So now let's get busy hooking these images up. I'm going to switch to Code View. I think the easiest place to do this is in Code View. And I want to look for a div that has a class of item active. And there's a lot of code on this page. To help myself out, I can use the find feature, which is Control F for find. Not Shift F, Control F. And find in what? The current document? Yes. I'm going to search for item active. Here we go. And let's hit Find Next. And Dreamweaver's found it for us. So it's right here. It says div class equals item active. And the next thing we see is there's an image tag here. It says image, and then it tells us that the source of this image is this placeholder content. This is what we want to replace with my own image. So I've clicked here in this image tag, and here in the Properties Inspector it says Carousel Placeholder. I want to replace this with my Gallery 1 image. Now there's a couple different ways to do this. One way is we can hover over this point to file icon. Now if I click and hold, I'm going to click on point to file. I'm going to click on this icon. I will click and hold and drag a line to my image over here in my file. So I've got my images folder open, I've got my carousel folder open. I can see there's a file here called Gallery 1. I'm going to click on point to file and drag to Gallery 1 and then release. And when I do that, it changes the source for this first item to Carousel Gallery 1. If I hover over it, I can see what that image looks like. So I'm going to scroll down. You can see we have another image tag below that first one. And again, we can see it has placeholder content. So I'll show you how to do that one more time. I'm going to click on the point to file icon. Hold my left mouse button down, and then drag over to my Files menu and select Gallery 2. And when I do that, you can see it changed to Gallery 2. Now, we don't have to use this method if we don't want to. You may have too many images to try and sort them through, or your screen may not be of a size where you can really see all the files you need to in your Files menu. So there's another way we can do this. I'm going to click again. This is my third image in the image tag. And where it says Source, rather than clicking on the Point to File icon, I can click on the Browse for File. I get my file dialog, and you can see it says Images right here. And I'm going to open up my Carousel folder, and I'm going to click on my third image, which is Gallery 3, and I'm going to say OK. So let's see what this looks like. We're going to preview in Chrome. I'm going to choose F12. And as always, Dreamweaver asks us, do we want to save these changes? And we do. So let's scroll down and see what we have. There we go. Now we have an image carousel. You can see that it's a very nice looking image carousel. We've got nice high quality images to work with, and it's just scrolling right through those images. So let's switch back to Dreamweaver. Let's go back to Dreamweaver. And you will have noticed, I can switch to Live View in Dreamweaver if we'd like. You will have noticed that we have this content for every single slide. There is an H3 tag that says first slide heading, and then we have a paragraph tag. So if you wanted to, you could add in your own content there. I'm going to look, let's see, this is my carousel. This is the active item. This is my first image. And you can see we have an H3 here that says first slide heading. So I'm going to change that to welcome to the wonderful world of pencils. Okay, so I'm working on my first image. And then for my first slide caption, I could type in the endless variety of pencils. Okay. I'm going to hit refresh, and let's look at this in live. Okay, so here we go. If I hit F12 to preview, we're asked, do you want to save the changes? Yeah, sure. And if I scroll down, there you go. So you can see you could create different captions for each image. I'm actually just going to turn these captions off, and the way we do that is by commenting out our code. You probably remember this from Module 2 when we talked about using comments in HTML. Remember, we start an HTML comment. I'm just going to type it right into the code with the left pointing arrow, exclamation point, dash, dash, and then space. And that's how we start a comment, and then we close a comment almost the same way. I'm going to hit the space bar, dash, dash, and then there we go. And you'll notice that this has now been commented out. The code is gray. If we go back to Live View, it's no longer there. We've got the paragraph tag, but we don't have that heading tag. So let's just do that. I'm just going to do this real quick, save myself a little bit of time. I'm going to copy this opening tag. I'm going to go to Edit and choose Copy. And then I'm going to right-click and choose Paste. I'm going to scroll down to my next H3 tag and choose Paste. the next paragraph tag and choose paste, the final H3 tag and choose paste, the final paragraph tag and choose paste. Now I've got my opening tag. Notice all this content is grayed out. That's way more than what we need because I need my closing comment tag. So I'm going to hit space, dash, dash, right arrow. And notice that as soon as I did that, then this code became active again. So I want to just copy just this much. I'm going to highlight that and hit copy. I'm going to add it after my H3 tag, after my paragraph tag. Now this code is working again here and here. Okay, that's good. So there's one more thing I want to change. And when I look at this in live view, notice, let's scroll down here, that we've got this big gap between my Jumbotron and my image carousel. And that's because there is a 30 pixel margin set by Bootstrap for the Jumbotron. Well, we don't need that margin. I'd like my image carousel to be right next to my Jumbotron. So how do I do that? I go to my CSS designer. I'm going to click down here and choose styles. That's where we're saving all of our custom styles. I'm going to click on global because I want this rule to always be applied. And I want to apply this rule to my Jumbotron. Now we already did a rule for the Jumbotron earlier. You may recall we added 20 pixels of padding. So I'm going to find my existing Jumbotron rule. So I can click on the little magnifying lens and I'm going to type period because it was a class. And look, even before I started typing anything, Dreamweaver filled in Jumbotron for me because that's the only class that we've defined so far. So I click on that. If I click on the Show Set button, it shows me, yep, I defined 20 pixels of padding to the left and to the right. Well, I want to give it a new property, so I need to unclick Show Set. I'm going to click on down here, and I'm going to go to Margin, and I just want to set a margin of 0 pixels. So I'm going to make sure that we're talking pixels, and then I've got a 0 in there. I'm just going to hit Enter. And you can see now that gap has disappeared. So I'm going to hit Save All, and when I do hit Save All we're going to save is just changes to our styles file and to index.html. Let's hit Save All, preview in a browser, and here we go. Let's scroll down, and there is our image carousel. I commented out the H3 and the paragraph tag, so all we're doing is looking at the images. We're still seeing our little buttons there, so with these buttons we can click between our different images. And then we've tightened up that space between the Jumbotron and the image carousel. Okay, we're going to move on and learn how to add some responsive Bootstrap content to our page.